just about everybody's face in here. So welcome, and tonight you're going to learn a lot about what to put in your body. So, however, how many of you have heard maybe some conflicting information on nutrition over the last few years, right? For certain, right? But you also, a lot of what I'm going to share, pretty much all of us know that what's on the right is better for us than what's on the left. But it's not so much information that I'm looking to share with you tonight, though I will definitely share information. I'm looking for transformation. Okay, how many of you agree that we're in a little bit of a health crisis in our nation right now, right? Okay. So a little bit about, most of you know, I was in a severe accident in October. I broke my neck body surfing. I have no brace on, so it's a little bit sore, but I think it's better to talk without a brace on, but I'm doing okay. I'll talk a little bit about that as we go through this, but oops, I don't know why every time. Some of you have heard this story before, but it's one of my favorites. This magazine article was published in 1973, but I read it in about 1996, and it changed the entire course of my life and my focus in life. And this is an article about people from National Geographic from all over the world, Tarahumara Indians, tribes in Canada, in Alaska, and in Russia, who they regularly live to 120 years old, like the majority of the people. And these are becoming less and less as we infiltrate with more and more of our health philosophies. But the best part was they interviewed these Russians, this Russian couple. The man was 120 and the woman was 110. They'd been married for 90 years. And they interviewed them and they said, they asked all these questions, and my favorite was, do you two still make love? They made sure they all defined that in the same way. She said, yes, we don't make love nearly as often as we used to, but at least once a day. I thought, whoa, goals, right? Raise your hand if that's a goal, okay? 120, 110. I don't know a lot of people who are functioning like that at that age, right? Okay, so how do we get there? Okay, so this was published over 100 years ago. This is a chiropractic publication. It was an ad. So if you can't read that, it says exercise, rest, nutrition, funneled through our neurospinal system leads to health. Heredity is a factor, resistance to disease and symptoms, environment, injuries, poisons, aging, stress, and death. All these things funnel through here. So the point of sharing this with you is that chiropractors have been the pioneers of natural health for well over 100 years. If you wonder why backcrackers talking about natural health, it's because we've been the ones pioneering and telling the truth about chemicals in our food, about chemicals in our land, about what to put in our body. When the AMA for over 100 years said nutrition has nothing to do with your health. How many of you think that is preposterous? It is. It's what we've been told. And here's what, without necessarily reading and getting into this, we were all taught a series of amazingly crazy things during the COVID epidemic, which nearly exactly mirrors what we were told during the AIDS epidemic, by the way. The number one, there is one cause of both of these things, and it is a virus. And we have the one cure, which is a vaccine to that virus. Now, both situations very, very closely paralleled one another, with one person at the head of the mainstream message of this. Okay? The message is everyone is susceptible to this, and everyone is in danger, and there's only one cure. And what happened during COVID, it's really almost an exactly same track. And I'm not here to talk a lot about that, but it's important for you to understand, if you want to be healthy in the future, that health is whose responsibility? It's not your chiropractor, it's not your medical doctor, it's not Dr. Fauci, it's not a vaccine, it's not a physical therapist, it's not your neighbor, it's not your spouse, your kids, your parents. It is you. Health is from the inside out. And when we're taught that we have no ability to fight any disease except for one vaccine that turned out to be extremely dangerous, extremely ineffective, and they just kept kicking the can down the road and saying, no, this is the best thing ever. They had to get Emergency Use Act authorization, or EUA, which the only way they could get that is if they proved that there was no other effective treatments. Do we know now that there were? Ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, vitamin D, sunshine, exercise, getting outside, breathing fresh air. But what happened was the opposite. So all that to say, chiropractors have been teaching this, and that's why there's a few key things that I've been teaching now for 27 years. Nutrition, exercise, rest, stress management, and proper nerve supply to every cell, tissue, and organ through ensuring that through proper chiropractic care. And so that's why this series, and you're all at the end of it, you can sign up to come for the entire series. You probably can't read that well. So this is, of course, nutrition. March 11th is exercise simplified. April 8th is going to be master calm and sleep better. In other words, stress management. And then supplements demystified. Because as much as we're going to talk about proper food, and that is a huge foundation for our health, how many of you know that there's not as many nutrients in our food as there used to be, and so supplements are important, so always important. God bless you. This is my why, and this is my family, and the head, the most important member, and my favorite human being in the world is my wife, and she's coming a little later. We're going out on a date tonight. I was gone over the weekend at a biomechanics conference. There's like no rest for people on a mission. And she is at the head of this mission. For 27 years, we've been giving away literally everything to be better at serving this community. And Brenda's been working with us for those 25 years anyway, knows what I'm talking about. Those of you who know us and know that we're here to serve. And so you'll see her at the end probably this evening if she comes to pick me up for our date. But she's the best. And we will do whatever it takes to serve humanity. This is my oldest son, Mason. This is 2 weeks ago. He was getting his wings and his certification as an Air Force Special Operations Commando. He flies those things, CB-22 Ospreys. And one of my favorite things that my kids have ever said to me, ever, was 2 weeks ago, like 3 minutes before this picture right here, is he looked at me and he said, both of us, Mom and Dad, thanks for teaching us to live for something bigger than us. Thanks for teaching us to do hard things. It was a little hard to be bawling in front of all these powerful military special operations badasses, excuse my language. But anyway, he's awesome. And so he flies those and he lives for something bigger. This is Skylar. He's the second. This is him graduating from the Air Force Academy, which Mason also did last May. And now he just got his master's degree from the University of Michigan. They're the same colors, but it's a different thing. Can anyone tell me who that guy is on the right?
Looks like Trump.
Former President Biden.
Oh.
And that is what's cool there is he was saluting my son, which was an awesome spectacle. My son got a distinguished graduate there, and so he got saluted by President Biden. And this is not a political thing at all, because very sincere thank you, President Biden, for your service to our country. But when I see him, I can't help but see through the lens of a clinical biomechanics expert. And what does his posture do? It's this, okay? I don't have my studies here, but I can show you a study. If I tell you a number, I have this study, that we can predict brain degeneration through the further our thorax goes in front of here. In fact, we can predict cognitive impairment based on how far that moves in front of them. His posture is like this, so it's pretty rough. And what is he taught to do about that? Nothing. Just patch it up with medications when that happens. So structure really, really matters. This is Bo, the person with probably the biggest heart of anyone I've ever known, and also the funniest person I've ever known. He's at school in San Luis Obispo, and he swings for the fence in everything he does. And this is Jacob at the U.S. Naval Academy. This is him finishing an Ironman just over a year ago that we both did together. He did it with not very much training. He is a warrior at heart. This is this is like 2 months ago. So they brag about him for just a minute. It's very, very difficult to even get into the Naval Academy. And after their first semester, every single semester they're ranked by their military aptitude, by their athletic aptitude, and their academic aptitude, and they're all ranked. Out of 1,286 cadets there at the Naval Academy, he was number 1. Not only overall, but in every single category. So anyway, I'm very, very proud of him. And so they're my why, and I care about what they live in and what they look forward to in life. And so here's what you're going to learn. You're going to learn, number 1, why excellent nutrition is more important than ever. Okay? You're going to learn very specific things, some of what to eat and what not to eat. You're going to learn practical tips on how to implement it into your life. Okay? How many of you think that's going to be useful? Good. Me too. Why? 74% of Americans are overweight or obese. 42% have metabolic syndrome, which means that they're either diabetic or pre-diabetic. 88% are metabolically unhealthy. That's a huge, huge number. And yes, we are made in God's image. We are made to run every single one of our 70 trillion cells in absolute harmonic perfection. And yes, nutrition is incredibly important because today, the pizza that you eat will tomorrow be your heart. And the beets that you eat will be your kidneys and your bowels and your bladder and your immune system that's going to fight off cancers and infections and these other things in our body. That's an absolute miracle. So how many of you know, of course, that thinking in it that way, if we were to go build a house, how many of you would use inferior materials on purpose? Nobody would, but we're building our body. The house can burn down, right, and we can survive that most of the time, right? But the body, we only get one body. We better treat it right in this lifetime. And how many of you have heard you are what you eat? It's very true. It's also true, you are what your body's able to do with what you eat. So we need to take care of this master system that regulates all of it. And if most or all of you know this, but a subluxation means that the vertebral system is out of alignment and there's a lack of life flowing from the brain through the spinal cord into the nervous system, into the body. And therefore, if that's the nerve to the heart, can the heart function normally? It's impossible, no matter what nutrients we put in our body, and believe me, great nutrients are important, but we have to take care of subluxations and address them. And if you're not currently under care, you're going to get invited in for an exam later. We'll talk about that later. So she's happy because her nervous system is on a normal alignment. This guy's in big trouble. This is almost exactly President Biden's posture. Now, we don't know exactly because x-rays are required. You can't just wing excellence in care, but that's pretty close to where he is. And God bless him, I wish he were in here. We should look like that, okay? So CVP is the work that we do. Everything I do, nearly everything I talk about is based on studies. We do massive research. We went over about a dozen more studies at the Clinical Biomechanics Conference this last weekend. Structure really matters. And I want to tell you about one recent study. This is from a good friend of mine, Dr. Evan Katz, did this study on the curve in the neck and how it relates to blood flow in the brain. How many of you know that your nutrition matters for blood flow to the brain and for how your brain works and for cognitive function, all these things that really matters? Anyone know anyone with some brain fog, and including it might be you? Okay. A huge reason for brain fog is we might be putting racing fuel in a car that needs a tune-up. The curve in your neck is critical. This is actually a picture of one person with a normal curve in the neck. What Dr. Evan Katz found, he also does the exact same work that we do with patients. This is the amount of blood flow to the brain with the curve in the neck. This is your brain on drugs, get it? So this is your brain, this is the blood flow to the brain with no curve in the spine. He found that it reduces it 50% when we lose the curve in the neck, but when we restore it through our methods, it restores it back to normal. So whatever you're doing, make sure, how many of you, please take your rehab to the next level? Wherever you are, just take your care for your spine to the next level. Commitment? Okay, please, okay? That's about all I'm gonna say about that. Okay, our health status, we know we're in a crisis, some serious problems. So how do we get out of it? Daily food choices make a huge difference. I'm gonna teach you how to navigate it without starting with a bunch of pancakes and syrup and cookies and hot dogs and chips and then some pizza dish thing like that, okay? We all know better than that, but the why. So we've gotta talk about where we've come from. Unless we know where we've come from, it's kind of hard to know where we're going. So this is what used to be food preservation was just cooking. We have to eat it pretty soon after that, okay? So then we took to drying our foods like jerky and fruit and things like that, which minimizes nutrient loss, right? And minimizes how much junk we have to put in our foods to maintain it. Fermentation. How many of you have done any fermentation? So sourdough, sauerkraut, things like this. Hugely important for generations, and we've lost a lot of that art, though people are doing that. Salting, similar. Smoking. So you see how these are getting kind of more and more altering the state of foods. Refrigeration. Refrigeration is obviously super important. Then we went to canning, and now we go to mostly chemical preservation, which is your wheat thins and your other things where they're like a Twinkie. If you buy a Twinkie today, in 20 years it's still good, right? Most of you have seen online McDonald's cheeseburgers. They're still good if you leave them out on the shelf 20 years from now. How many of you think that's conducive to good health 20 years from now? No chance. No chance, okay? So hidden sugars in our food, very, very important. Quaker oatmeal squares. So I Googled healthy cereals, and all these dietitians recommend Quaker oat squares. There are definitely worse by all means, okay? But 1 cup of these things, how many of you, if I sit down and I'm eating cereal, how many of you stop at 1 cup? Like nobody, right? I'm eating the box or close to the box, okay? So 1 cup has about a tablespoon of sugar. Now, to put that in perspective, take a guess, an average sized person with average blood sugar, guess how much volume of sugar is in their blood at an average time?
A teaspoon.
Excellent. It is about a teaspoon. Good memory. You might have been to one of my talks earlier. Maybe you just knew that. It's about a teaspoon. So if we eat 5 cups of that, and that might be on the low end, we just took 5 tablespoons, which is 15 times the normal amount of sugar that we would have in our bloodstream at any moment. We're not designed to have that, not to mention the glyphosate. What's glyphosate in? Anybody know? Roundup, okay? So one of the reasons there's less and less nutrients in our food is because they don't require nutrients to grow anymore, okay? So one of the things that nutrients do is fend off pests. What do we do to fend off pests chemically now? Massive, 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 massive quantities of poison. And speaking of poison, did you know this? This is wild. I don't know what a venti white chocolate mocha is. I don't drink coffee, and coffee is not bad for you. I do not think coffee is bad for you. I just never got into it. But it's when we drink these things. In fact, I went to Starbucks to have tea with my wife and mother-in-law a month ago or so. And I went in there, I literally have no idea what to do at a Starbucks. And luckily the gal was so nice. I was like, I would like some tea, please. But I'm completely clueless here. Luckily she was very nice. Just a simple green tea, wasn't that expensive, no big deal. But when we start to get 18 teaspoons of sugar in a 20-ounce drink, that's a lot. That's a lot. And sugar hides in all sorts of names, okay? Whether it's fructose, maltitol, honey, maltose, mannitol syrup, cane sugar, or pure spun golden sunshine, okay? We have all these creative names for things, but sugar by any other name is just as sweet and just as dangerous for your body. Cooking oils, okay? Now, we're doing a pretty good job now of getting rid of hydrogenated oils from a lot of things. Hydrogenated oils are one of the worst things that you can put in your body. So I'm assuming everybody knows that now, but still, most crackers, most preserved things, why do they do that? Because they remain more shelf stable, because the fats are solid at high temperatures, so they don't melt. The cookies or crackers don't melt in your packages as easily, okay? So, but short of that, most of us know this by now, but canola oil, palm oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil, and corn oil, these are in huge quantities in almost every single packaged food, every French fry especially, potato chips, all these things. Now, you're not going to be perfect, right? No one's going to be perfect, but let's just really, really, really try to limit those things in our diets. They make a huge difference. There's one video that I'm going to show this guy here talking about that. You get to see how they're processed and made. Oh, it doesn't display on the screen. Anyway, what he talks about is how, or you have some method? Anyway. It doesn't matter. So what he talks about is what is healthier, butter or vegetable oils? And most of you know by now, there was a debate for a long time. It's not even close. Butter is far, far healthier. He talks about how we make vegetable oils. So we extract it from the vegetable or the seed or whatever it is. Then we add hexane to detoxify it, which is poisonous. Then we add all these emulsifiers to increase the yield of it. Then we put all these, we heat it multiple different times. It's highly, highly toxic. It is not food. It is non-food. In fact, in most countries in Europe, do you know that a ton of our foods are illegal in Europe, that they serve us all the time? Red dyes, most of these vegetable oils are actually illegal in Europe. Is that showing by now? No, it's not. So we'll just go to the next. Did I mess it up? Yes, somehow I have to click on my genius in tech here. I might get it, Connor. I know you come to the rescue, which is awesome. There it was. Anyway, whatever. So I might get, okay. So the real cost of our food choices in 2020 worldwide, 523 million people with cerebral vascular disease, cardiovascular disease. Think of that. At the turn of the century into 1900, heart disease was almost completely unknown. Doctors would open up the heart and say, this thing is made for 200 years. This thing is amazing. Now our technology has advanced so much. Our healthcare is so much better. Our health philosophies are so much better. And in some ways, we do live longer than we did back then. So no fault. There are lots of things. I am not against all medical care by any stretch. I would not be here if it weren't for medical care, in multiple times, but especially in this latest surgery. So I'm not bashing medicine. What I'm against is the philosophy that someone else is responsible for your health. 523 million people, an increase of 18.7% since 2010, and that's population adjusted. 18.7% worse. 2018, 27% of adults had multiple chronic conditions, more than $1 trillion in expenditures every single year. World Health Organization, 63% of worldwide deaths are preventable, 47 trillion in expenditures by 2030. Don't be part of that, okay? Is it better with children or what? It's getting worse and worse and worse, okay? Type 2 diabetes used to be called adult onset diabetes. Why? This was only for adults. What do we find? We're finding it in many high percentage of children right now. Many authors have said this is the first generation where parents are going to outlive their kids in the history of mankind. Think of what that means. Overweight and obesity rates have doubled in children. Overweight teenagers are much higher risk for CVD, diabetes, cholesterol, hypertension, and even behaviors. We can measure that children who ate chemicalized foods are much more violent as they become adults. 1 in 4 kids right now has chronic illness. 1 in 6 have some sort of sensory issues. In the 70s and 80s, what approximately, does anyone know, was the rate of autism in children? 1 in about 10,000. Now this is not a one factor thing. It's not one cause. But it has a great deal to do with how many chemicals we're putting in our body. And one of those I believe it's going to come out more and more, 75 or 72 doses of 18 different vaccines, none of which are actually proven safe and effective, even though they say they are. There is no scientific proof of that. That is one reason. It is not the reason. It is one. So when a body fights itself, what do we call that? An autoimmune disease, okay? So one reason for that we have, the job of the immune system is to recognize self from non-self. So as an example, when a virus comes in, the immune system, this amazing, perfect creation, as long as it's allowed to do what it's supposed to do, as long as we have proper nutrients, and we exercise, and we rest, and we have these other things, we have this amazing immune system that when a virus comes in, it surrounds it and kills it. When a chemical comes in not too much quantity, it surrounds it and excretes it, right? But when we overload it more and more, and toxins are hidden inside our cells, our immune system looks inside a cell and says, toxin, not self, but it's hidden inside a cell. So what's it going to do? It's going to attack the cell. That's what we call autoimmune disease. Are those getting better and better with all our technology? They definitely are not. Increasing 3 to 12% every year. Celiac disease, 5-fold increase in 30 years. MS, 30% from 2013 to 22. Inflammatory bowel disease increased 46%. All these systems are shutting down because of these things we're putting on our bodies. The delicate balance of hormones, it is an incredibly delicate balance, and what we put in our bodies influences that. The pancreas secretes the master hormone, which is insulin. Brilliant, great job. So that is the master hormone that regulates up or down all these other hormonal systems in the body. So controlling our sugar has a huge play on all of our hormones, okay? So there's a power in real food. Okay, everyone say real food.
Real food.
Yes, thank you. So we're going to focus on real food. We're not going to try to be perfect, because what happens when we try to be perfect? Okay, we shut down, we give up. There's no condemnation. Condemnation is what destroys lives. Okay, so yeah, it's love. It is love toward ourselves, toward our bodies, toward our neighbor, toward our spouse, toward anyone and everyone that leads to change. It is not hatred and anger and these things, though I sometimes get a little indignant at some of the things that I see. To allow ourselves to change, we have to accept where we are. And we have to say that everything I am today physiologically, because it's whose responsibility? My body's my responsibility. I chose to go body surfing. I chose to I didn't really choose to break my neck, but I chose to put myself in that situation, so here I am, right? I know for a fact, I'm not perfect with my health, but if I had not constantly strengthened, been under very regular chiropractic care, on the whole, had exceptional nutrition, I don't think I would be here. I know it in my heart. And I want to suggest this. Everyone's counting on you for something. Doesn't matter whether your job is, you're a trash collector, whether you're a mechanic, whether you're a doctor of any type, no matter what it is that you do, we're all counting on each other to live in excellence. Now, if you went to a horse race and you had the inside track and you got to see what all the horses were fed over the last, say, 6 months, and you got the one horse that had the organic oats and apples and grass and whatever it is that horses eat. I'm no horse expert. That's mostly it, right? My animal folks. And then the other one, they were fed mostly cigarettes and whiskey and donuts. Which one are you betting on? Assuming everything else is equal. It's no question it's the organic food one, right? You're betting on yourself every day, and so is your family. They're counting on you to produce and to be independent with them and dependent on one another. Take care of yourselves, okay? Take care of yourselves. So, what was that? I didn't talk about that. So, understanding GMOs. What does GMO stand for?
Genetically modified.
Yep, organism. That's exactly right. So, why are we genetically modifying all these? There's a lot of reasons, but the main reason is to tolerate massive amounts of pesticides. Because if we can spray all of our crops with massive amount of pesticides, what do we not need to do? We don't need super healthy crops, number one. We don't need super healthy soil. We don't need to do any weeding or anything like that because no other plants are going to grow. Only our genetically modified Monsanto plants. And I'm not getting into Monsanto too much here, but we 88% of our corn, 94% of our soybeans, 90% of our cotton, 90% of our canola oil, and 95% of our sugar beets are genetically modified organisms to tolerate more and more and more pesticides. We're going to need to become more self-dependent, okay? So what are we going to feed our bodies? We're going to feed our bodies as healthy, as close. Here's the main rule of nutrition. Eat stuff as close to the way God made it as you possibly can. If you do that, you're pretty much 95% there, okay? If our bodies, some believe, there have been some studies, and I don't know how well done these were, but that they took infants and toddlers and they put like every kind of food you can think of in front of them and just watch them eat for like a year, and they almost all of them picked out nearly a perfect diet. Amazing. We crave, like when our body's low in vitamin C, we crave an orange. Did you know that? That is a documented fact. Most of us as Americans are going to go to that Minute Maid orange soda with 80% of the daily value of vitamin C. Is that the same as eating it from an orange? Not even close. God hid sunshine in citrus fruits because he loves you. Because he loves you. Eat the citrus fruits. Sunshine packaged in vitamin C in there. So we need protein though. We need more protein than most people think. Here's how we calculate how much protein we need for average needs. I bumped up my protein because I got a lot of healing to do, okay? So I'm more like, so the daily protein goal, let's say your lean mass is 150 pounds, okay? So we want approximately 0.8 grams of protein per that, okay? So let's say a 5-ounce steak has between 25 and 30 grams of protein, just so you know, okay? So about a 5-ounce chicken breast has about the same. Meat is about the same. So 120 grams of protein means if we're eating 25 grams per sitting, that's about 5 servings, right? So that's kind of a lot. So just to be aware, that's what that looks like. We need a lot of protein to heal and regulate our bodies. It's a little tougher if we go vegetarian or vegan. Some people are really, really healthy with that, okay? And you could ask questions all day about what about carnivore, what about vegan, what about all these different things. And here's what I have to say about that. Two people, this was the original question that Dr. D.D. Palmer, the founder of chiropractic, his big question was, why is it that two people working in the same environment, eating the same food, breathing the same air, having the same friendships, having all these same different things, why does one get sick and the other doesn't? Part of it is genetic, and there's a lot of different factors, but we're all different, okay? Here's what I think about every single diet. Number one, if it's a crazy diet, you're not gonna maintain it. Keep them reasonable, and we're gonna talk more about this, but shoot for 80%, okay? But also, any diet, carnivore, vegan, whatever, try it for at least 30 days. 40 is probably better. See how you look, feel, and perform. Some people with carnivore do amazingly, some do terrible. I had a year as a raw vegan. Everything I ate was raw and was vegan and 100% organic. I didn't do that well on it. I got weaker. I feel like I need more protein. Try it out. But where they all agree, the middle road is whole foods. Everyone agrees. No one thinks that Cheez-Its are the diet for success. No one thinks that, okay? By the way, any questions on that calculation, or does that make sense, Sarah? Please, Christophe.
On that, so that lean body mass, that's not your weight, right? How do we know what's a lean body mass?
There's a lot of ways to know. You can do there's measurements with calipers. You can measure like waist, hip circumference. A lot of gyms have body fat calculators, but you want to, that's a tough one to say. You can calculate that out. Some people say that this is total body mass, so you would say whatever your weight is. What I would suggest is try it out, see how you look, feel, and perform. So it's somewhere between your lean body mass. So let's say on average, let's say that a person has 20% body fat, which is pretty average, male to female, of reasonably fit people. So 20%, so let's say they weigh 200 pounds, that means 40 pounds is gonna be body fat. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we're talking about 160 pounds of lean mass. So times 0.8 is gonna be 80 plus 48, so it's gonna be 128 grams of protein is what that person would need. Does that make sense? Everybody good? Okay. Whew, I passed a math test live. Okay, so principles of thinking about eating. About to give someone a fish. I could give you an organic meal right now, but we want to what? Teach you to what? Teach you to fish. So this is how the healthiest people fish. Number one, they don't live to eat, they eat to live, okay? I love to eat. It is like my top 3 favorite things in the world. I love to eat. Oops, whoa. And also my thumb doesn't work that hot, so yet. So we gotta eat to live, okay? So we let our food be our source of life and building healthy tissue. We think about what we put in our body every single day. It doesn't mean it's always perfect, and more about that in a little bit. We wanna maintain a healthy weight. Nutrients without excess calories and sugar. How many of you think you're gonna get overweight by eating way too much broccoli? No one ever thinks that, right? Also avoiding excess inflammation. Inflammation is a very, very, very important response in the body, but how many of you know most of us have too much of that? And a lot of that is from too much unhealthy food. It's a top driver of disease. We want to have great energy to carry out our calling like we're talking about. No matter what your calling is, when you're healthy, you do it better. Next, we want to balance our hormones. They're critical for whole body health. And when we're eating foods that stress our bodies, we're not balanced in our hormones. We stress our adrenal glands. We stress our pituitary glands. We stress all these glands and our hormones get thrown off. We gain weight. We get diabetes. We get stress hormones. We can't sleep. And our bodies are really, really thrown off. So we want to balance that out. We want to build lean tissue. So very, very important. Lean tissue. Did you know that one of the highest predictors of survival, as well as of being independent as we age, is our muscle mass? Okay, grip strength and muscle mass. Like there have been a lot of studies where they take your thigh or your arm or whatever and they measure how much muscle you currently have, and that is a very, very strong predictor of your independence as you age. Super important. Stay strong. Train. Exercise is coming up next. We're going to teach you how to train safely. Very, very, very important. But maintaining strength. But if we don't have the building blocks with right nutrition, our body's not going to build that lean, healthy tissue. Water, super, 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 super important. okay? At least half your body weight, not even lean weight, but at least half your body weight in ounces of healthy water. Now this next principle is really important to me. Let's say I'm at a restaurant and I'm dehydrated and I know it, and there's only tap water, and I happen to know that it's not the healthiest tap water in that town, wherever it is. My philosophy is drink it and get the nutrients, okay? And not always, and not in 100% of the situations, but I would rather have the nutrients. In other words, people think like if I'm gonna go get a pizza, you might as well add some broccoli to that pizza, right? Because at least you're getting some nutrients. It doesn't cancel out, okay? Eating all that cheese and glyphosate infiltrated wheat does not cancel out the broccoli. That's my philosophy. Do the best you can with whatever your situation, okay? But drink at least half your body weight in ounces and have it as healthy and as filtered as you can. One of the best inventions in my lifetime is every airport has a water filter. Isn't that awesome? Minimize your plastic water bottle drinking for so many reasons. That plastic is in all of our cells right now, from drinking it, from it being in our water supply. You guys know that, right? Save our environment. Don't drink 1 million of those bottles. It's not healthier. Like what we have here, those bottles, those don't get heated too much. There's not a lot of plastic in those, but get filtered water out of the airport or wherever you are. Carry around a metal or a glass water container. Please, so important. Healthy fats, super important. These are the healthiest sources of fats. The only questionable one is peanut butter, because the peanuts have to be organic, because if they're not, they have more pesticides, they have more aflatoxin and other things in it. And peanut butter, you don't want it sitting out too long because it develops toxins. But all these sources, fat is so important. The NIH created a war on health. Pun intended. What is that, a Freudian slip? They created a war on health in the 80s when they made the food pyramid. And what is the food pyramid? Grains, dairy, then tiny bits of protein. A lot of people have said we need to revert that, but fats are so important. Your brain is 75% cholesterol. Don't know if you knew that. Eating healthy fats is an important way that we build cholesterol. True, your body can manufacture cholesterol from fats that you eat, so you don't necessarily have to eat cholesterol to manufacture cholesterol, but healthy fats are absolutely critical. They've been demonized, but these are very important sources of fats, and I do believe everyone should have a small amount of healthy fat with every meal. Hi, hon! Yay! There's my favorite person. That's my wife. Hi, hon. We're getting, yeah, okay. There's a seat right up front here. Just kidding. You can stay there. Okay, so healthy fats. Fats are your friend. A small amount of fat. I got kind of distracted. Hi, baby. So, very important. So, choosing the right types of fats for the application. Best oil to cook with is avocado oil. Okay, so high heat cooking like frying, grilling, roasting. Also great for salad dressings. Smoke point is 520 degrees. Don't let your oil smoke too much, okay? What happens when you let it smoke? It becomes rancid, and you start manufacturing acrylamides, which are toxic to your body, okay? So extra virgin olive oil used to be thought this smoke point was like 320 degrees, and everyone just believed it. We didn't use olive oil for anything except for raw things. We now know you can heat it more than we used to think so. But real olive oil is a very different thing. You know how we make olive oil? We squeeze olives. Maria?
I don't see coconut oil up there. Is that something?
Yes, I meant to put it in there, but I didn't. Coconut oil is between avocado and olive oil. Coconut oil is also really good. There's a lot of healthy saturated fat in coconut oil. I don't eat it by the ton, but also dental tip. What's the word? Dental hygiene tip. We've been, what do you call it? Oil pulling. Thank you. Oil pulling every single night. My dentist loves my teeth right now. And your teeth have very easy access to your bloodstream. Keep your teeth very clean. Oil pulling, just you put a big chunk of olive or coconut oil in your teeth and you just swish it around. It sounds amazing. Dee loves it when I sit next to her on the couch and do oil pulling. It's like some weird swishy sound, but it's amazing what that will do. You will get stuff out of there. You'll keep your bloodstream and your teeth cleaner. So thank you for bringing that up. Ghee is clarified butter. And that is also very high heat points. It's great for heating, cooking, and baking, popcorn, toast, these things. Flaxseed oil is great when it's very fresh, when it's refrigerated, and when it is raw. Do not ever heat flaxseed oil. but flaxseed oil is one of the highest, it is the highest vegetable source of omega-3s, which are also found in fish more, but fish is a more potent source of it, but flaxseed oil is great in salad dressings, smoothies, and drizzling. Again, do not heat, okay? So a lot of the sauces that you see on the shelf, it is profound. Anybody ever see that movie, The Hurt Locker? It's just this amazing movie, and at the end of it, this guy who sacrifices so much in service to our country, and this profound scene is one of the last scenes in the movie, and he's just standing in the grocery store just looking at this aisle of cereal. And there's like 1,000 cereals there. It's just, there's no comment, it's just amazing. The huge variety of things that are available to us. It makes it so easy. And sometimes we're gonna go to that, aren't we? But for the most part, try to make your own sauces. Olive oil, garlic, juice of a lemon and zest, Dijon mustard, honey, salt and pepper, fresh parsley. Just basically mix it up. That is an amazing sauce. And try to work. You've got to plan, prepare, cook, and shop. We were a little stir crazy this week because I was at that clinical biomechanics conference all weekend, got home late Sunday. We try to prepare food on the weekends. It's a really, really big thing for us. But even when we can't, we've already prepared a lot of foods for that. This is my youngest son, Jacob, the Naval Academy guy. This is him making sushi. He is a gourmet. We have sort of ruined our kids for regular foods. I don't know how to explain it, but they like all the best foods, and it's pretty cool. If you're gonna have pizza, make it yourself and use organic einkorn flour and get the healthiest cheese and put a lot of fresh herbs on it and these things. Try to make it yourself. This is, you can't see this, but this is turkey broth. Yes, it's in plastic. Yes, I should can my things in jars. Just haven't learned that, so we do the best we can. But I make most of my homemade bone broth. It is extremely healthy. Juicing is very important. That's my youngest again, Jacob. An extremely easy to make, very healthy meal is chop up a bunch of vegetables, Brussels sprouts. Usually it's whatever we have, which, that's not spoiled, but it's like the cleanup dish. Salt, pepper, olive oil, Brussels sprouts, sweet potatoes, yams, onions, garlic, whole garlic cloves. Stir that around, throw chicken breasts on top, and bake it for like 35 minutes. It's an amazing meal. And one of my secrets is I make a lot more food than we're gonna eat, because a lot of it's gonna go in the freezer, so that when we do have these stressful weeks, it comes out of the freezer and it's there, and it's healthy food. If I come home and the only thing in the house is Oreos and sweet granola, guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna eat that. I'm going to eat tonight, right? Am I gonna miss a meal ever? It's never gonna happen. So we have to prepare for this. This is homemade pasta sauce that I make regularly. When we get a bunch of tomatoes, we grow tomatoes and other things. I'll bake it and then bake a whole bunch of vegetables together and then use the immersion blender for that. This was an amazing realization for me. I like to make Thai food, and especially eat Thai food. But yeah, people are like, you love to cook, don't you? I don't necessarily love to cook, but I love good food. I love good food. And my boys know the moment when these things are lime leaves in the tom kha soup that it's made in there with coconut cream. And I remember the moment at Kanya Market that's at Four Corners when I knew I was missing something from my Thai soup, but no one, I asked people, they couldn't figure it out, and I couldn't figure it out till someone came, a Thai lady in front of me, set a bag of this lime leaf on the counter, and I smelled it, and it was like, oh, that's what I'm missing from my soup. Where do I get that? It was like that pungent. So the point is, use herbs in all of your cooking. Herbs make things way healthier. There's so many nutrients in herbs. We grow our own herbs. I'm not a great gardener, but I'm telling you, even if you're having a hamburger, a cheeseburger, whatever, throw some extra herbs in there. This is making a Mexican adobo sauce. Yes, it's sacrilegious to put basil in Mexican, but it tastes amazing. My bay leaves and all these herbs go into almost all my cooking. When we're camping, we don't, that's actually not true. The kids know that we got camping cereal. The only time they got Captain Crunch or whatever was camping. That was just the thing, that we're gonna get camping cereal. So, but we cook most of our food there, okay? If you're gonna eat pasta, make your pasta most of the time. I don't do it all the time, but this is homemade with organic flour, organic eggs raised on Brenda's farm, the best anywhere. Make your pasta. And there's bacon in here. I love bacon, but we're wrapping it. We're putting sesame seeds. We're putting lettuce wraps from organic lettuce. Ideally grow your own sprouts, but bowls are an amazing way to eat a dinner. Bowls with organic rice and chicken or fish or salmon, beef or whatever. See, it's me. We do whatever, but you can get massive amount of nutrients and they taste absolutely amazing. Okay, so when to buy organic? So how many of you know organic is a lot more expensive? It is a lot more expensive. So there are things to do, and this is on your handout. Oh, we didn't hand these out yet. Go ahead and just pass these out if you would, please. Oh, you did? Okay, we just made extra. That's great. So, so there are things that we should buy organic. That's the dirty dozen. So these are on your list. I don't need to read them. You can read. The Clean 15 means that these things are things that we can save the money on. So we want to save money, obviously, wherever we can. Obviously, the more we grow, the better off we are. So this that you have on your handout, so a lot of you can't read this, I would probably be able to read it from back there. So this is a sample making it work in real life, okay? So these are just a possible, so one of the things we're gonna do is we're gonna start the day with protein. That's gonna be one of the changes that I'm gonna recommend. You're gonna see that in a minute. Start with some protein to keep your blood sugar regulated. Hopefully you worked out in the morning and that protein is gonna be building muscle and keeping your energy strong all day. I would like someone, please, to read for me the bottom right item for Sunday night dinner. Pizza and beer with the boys or the girls, okay? What do we do? So, do we have to live like monks all the time and never ever always say no to everything? No, I believe in that. So we had pizza and beer just last week, whatever. So we avoid that most of the time. But some of the time, that's what you got to do. Are you going to go to the kid's birthday party and never eat anything there? No. But here's the deal. Almost everything seems to be 80-20. Okay? Shoot for 80%. Here's how we get the right to be able to go eat pizza and beer. It's that the whole week, 80% of our meals were amazing. So if we have, what? 7 times 3 is 21 plus, 7 snacks. So 28 meals in a day. So 80% of that is going to be like, what is that? 19 meals or something. Is that right? Something like that. Some of you are better at math. So out of the 28 meals, 80% is going to be 16 plus 24 of those. About 24 of those are going to be really, really healthy meals, and the rest, we don't worry, we don't panic. But again, we do the best we can within that. If you're going to have, instead of eating 7 slices of pizza, eat 5 of them and eat a big salad. Does that make sense? And don't drink the soda. Soda's like come on. I mean, once a year, some soda, but come on, especially diet soda, especially Franken soda, okay? If you're gonna have a soda, eat something that has some real sugar in it, okay? So, which means like a Mexican cola, right? So let's get busy, okay? Let's break this down into manageable steps. So here's our week 1 action plan. Everyone ready? Everyone say action.
Action.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Monday is kitchen clean out. Get the garbage can out, okay? Throw away all your expired foods, of course. She's amazing at that. I'm a little looser with it, she knows. Best Buy, that doesn't mean it's only good. This is only 3 years expired. It's not that big of a deal. I'm not that bad, but fairly close.
It's good.
Yeah. Kitchen clean out. Remove inflammatory oils, which are any hydrogenated oils and any seed oils. Chuck them, okay? Is it more expensive to buy olive oil? Yes. What's more expensive? Health or sickness? Sickness is more expensive. Health is always cheaper than sickness. That's an amazing thing. Okay? Check for hidden sugars. They're not that hidden because you just look at the label. Anyone need to know how to look at a label? Now, this is sincere. Does anyone not really know how to find out how much sugar is in a thing that has a label? Okay, it'll say sugars. Okay, very good. Okay, stock up on whole foods. Costco is amazing now. They have so many good foods at Costco. Some other stuff too, and we get some of both, right? So Tuesday through Friday, this is written down for you. You don't have to write this down. Implement. Is this on your sheets? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, feel free to take pictures, or we'll write it up for you and ask for it later. I'll get this printed for you. I did this later. Implement the basics. Start your day with protein. Replace one processed meal. Okay, that makes sense, right? Instead of having the pizza, sorry neighbors, we have your pizza once in a while, but instead of having the pizza, make a bowl, okay? Instead of replace one processed meal, add healthy fats to every meal, okay? So Trader Joe's has these packets of olives now, or little packets of nuts or something like that. Just add some healthy fat to every meal. You'll see how you start replacing some of the junk with healthier foods. Another secret, by the way, if you know you're going out to a junk meal, eat either something high in fat or something high in fiber 20 to 40 minutes before. So that's something I'll do, like it's a Christmas party or we're going out to pizza or whatever, eat an apple, eat some olives, some sardines, maybe not, some walnuts. I've been known to do some crazy stuff, but that's pretty crazy. And what's going to happen is your satiety is going to, your body's going to produce CCK, cholecystokinin, because fat, that's response to fat. You're going to feel more satiated, and you're not going to eat as much junk. That's an amazing trick for that. Okay. And lastly, weekend meal prep basics. Wash and cut vegetables, have them stacked, have them put in there, whether you're going to juice them, whether you're going to cook them, whatever. And cook protein options. So I'll cook, even when it's just us. She's not eating chicken or beef currently, or pork. So what I'll do is I'll cook 6 chicken breasts, and we might have people come over, but it's going to be chicken 8 ways. Okay, so it's going to be Italian today, and it's going to be Mexican tomorrow. It's going to be Thai or whatever later. And then if I don't eat them all, they're going in the freezer. You can freeze more things than you might think you can freeze, and it's a lot. It's not perfect, but it's better than ordering takeout or going to get in and out. It's because I'm too hungry, right? So a chicken breast that maybe a little bit of freezer burn isn't perfect, but it's better than in and out. Okay, so cook protein options, like I said, prepare healthy snacks. I don't know where the second quote's coming from. I don't know where that's from. But prepare healthy snacks. Protein balls is one of the things that's on one of the snack sections. Super simple. Take organic rolled oats, some peanut butter, some protein powder, and then some cacao, little cacao nibs. Amazing. A lot of nutrients in there, and really, really strong satiety. Makes you feel full and makes you feel like you've eaten. So this is purposely not filled out. This is a way to chart your progress, okay? So what's measured improves. I don't know if you know about that statistic, but that's how we go. When we measure our progress, we improve. So check off what you ate as snacks and be honest with that. So use that as a journal. Super, super important, okay? So any questions on any of that so far? I'm going to leave it, okay, on any of that piece. Okay, so most of you know, but I want to call you to a higher level with the way you're taking care of your neurospinal system. Okay, there's no way to know if you have a healthy spine unless you have it checked, regardless of pain or symptoms. Those of you who have been in my talks before, what percentage of the nerves of the spine have to do with pain or feeling?
30%.
Say again?
10%.
Most people say 100. Truth is, it's about between 6 and 8%.
Oh, yeah.
What are the rest of those nerves doing? They're controlling our hormones, controlling our digestive system. They're controlling our immune system and all of that. That's why we need to take care of our neurospinal system. Okay, so if you're not currently a patient, you need to get checked. Warning signs of subluxation. Number 1 is you're a human being and you live on this earth. But flu or virus susceptibility, back pains or sciatica, headaches, thyroid issues, certainly cancer, diabetes, allergies, sinus problems, ear infections, digestive problems, ADHD, ADD or autism, pain, numbness or tingling, fatigue or depression may mean that your nervous system is not operating at a peak, and it should be peakier, if that's a word. So here's how this works. In a moment, you're going to have an opportunity to do, you can take a picture of that now. So this means consultation, examination, assessing your posture on posture screen, like we should do with former President Biden, any needed initial x-rays and a report of findings. It's $97, so it's normally $280 to $380. The only exception is Medicare. It's against the law for us to discount things for Medicare. Okay, next thing is, if you want to sign up for the rest of the series of these talks, okay, this is the QR code for that. So if you want to, does anyone not know does anyone not know how to use a QR code? You know, so you point your camera at that, and it'll pick one out, and then it'll take you to the website. So if you want to do the exam, if you're not currently a patient, or if you want to sign up for the rest of the talk series, then you can take a picture of that, and it'll take you to the website to register. Okay. So while people are doing that, questions, please, Maria.
My question is very broad and general about intermittent fasting. I like intermittent fasting
Yes.
here and there.
Mhm.
I don't do it permanently, obviously, for long periods of time.
Yes.
But when I do, Is it best to not skip the morning meal and fast during the morning instead of then just cut your, eat later? Or is it better to eat first thing in the morning, if you're a morning person, metabolism going, and then cut your food hours, shorter in the evening, like stop at 5, for example, if you're doing like a 16-8 or whatever?
Yeah.
Is there a difference between, I guess?
Okay, so let me define that for everyone first. A lot of you may know what that is, but what she's talking about is a particular eating schedule where you only eat in a certain window. So it's called intermittent fasting, and it means you're not eating all the time. And it's been shown in a lot of studies to reduce body fat, to actually increase lean tissue, to help the body produce what's called a state of autophagy, which means it eats and cleans out old cells, and it keeps the body cleaner and healthier. And so as much as I've done that a lot in the past, I despise doing it because I think about, when I go to bed, I'm thinking about what I'm gonna eat in the morning. And as I wake up in the morning, I'm thinking about what am I gonna eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and snack 3 weeks from now. So I don't enjoy it, but I don't think it matters. I think it matters your own schedule. What I think does matter is trying it out like we're talking about before. So like I was gonna intermittent fast last night. I ate a big lunch and I was like, I don't really need dinner. Guess what I did around 7 p.m.? I made popcorn with organic grass-fed butter. So it wasn't the best thing, but right before my nutrition talk, right? So anyway, the point is, I think try it out and see what works best for you. For me, I do best when it's morning. So like what she's talking about is 16-8, which means 16 hours of not eating followed by 8 hours of eating. So your whole eating window is within 8 hours. So what that might look like is 6 p.m. dinner, and then you don't eat until 12 p.m. the next day, so till lunchtime. You skip all the way till lunch. And so that's what works best for me, just schedule-wise and energy-wise. But I would say just try out what works best for you. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
As best I can. Okay, other questions?
When you do the oil pulling, do you use fractionated coconut oil then?
Yes. Yep, the Costco organic fractionated oil.
And just curious, what is your total cholesterol?
Last I checked, it was about 180. But my
What number do
HDL.
you want it at for total cholesterol?
That's pretty darn close to where you want it. And it's different for different people, and it increases slightly as we age, along with our blood pressure, the average ideal.